Welcome to this special edition of Thinking Caps, the podcast that gets marketers thinking. I'm here, Tim Glom, CHEETAH Digital, with my cohort, Richard Jones. And today we've got an awesome report. We're going to keep it quick. It's the top 10 consumer attitudes to privacy and personal data that marketers need to know. Richard, explain to us why we are doing this.
Well, the most important reason is we wanted to find out how consumer attitudes were changing around data and privacy in the shadow of COVID-19. Considering all business is now moving online, what do consumers think about how you can handle their data?
This data was published in late March of 2020, so it's relevant and it's early. And it's a global study that was covered across over 4,000 respondents in 6 different countries. So you can get that full report at cheetahdigital.com. We'll tell you at the end exactly how to get that. But why don't we dig in and get to the top 10?
All right, number one. What drives the value exchange economy for data? So we thought this was a really interesting research to go and get answered, because we need to understand, as all of this business moves online in this kind of accelerated digital transformation that we're having from COVID-19, what are the things that consumers are going to see as a suitable value exchange in return for for them giving marketers their data? And what we found was some pretty interesting things.
Yeah, I mean, especially the zero-party data that we're talking about, right? First party, but really it's that self-reported psychographic data sometime. There's amazing things here. I mean, people are willing to give up their information for discounts and coupons.
No surprise there.
Yeah, loyalty points and rewards. We all love those.
What interesting, though, is you're actually seeing loyalty points and rewards being basically on a par with discounts and coupons as the number one reason that consumers will give you their data. So don't just automatically jump for discounts. Also think about how you can collect data via your loyalty program.
Yeah, and we have great examples on our website. A lot of clients are collecting zero-party data at scale. Where CHEETAH Digital is the largest platform collecting zero-party data at scale. And chances to win. Sweepstakes are an excellent tool. They sometimes have a negative connotation, but we can show you how hundreds of millions of personal records have been collected for some of our clients there, as well as unlocking content and just access to community.
Lots of great ideas. Come to cheetahdigital.com, come to our blog, come to our resources page, and you'll see what brands are doing to actually collect this very valuable consumer data.
The second in our top 10 is, which data will consumers offer up? This is great because, again, when you're collecting zero-party data that's self-reported from consumers, there's amazing different things that they are willing to offer you. Richard, what are we seeing in this global report?
Well, so there was a range of different things that consumers were willing to provide to brands in return for some sort of value exchange. 55% would say they'd be happy to do it around product feedback, perhaps no surprise there. But what was most important was 42% of consumers saying they were willing to offer up information on products that they may buy in the future. Talk about marketing gold.
This is great. And we have actual case studies on the CHEETAH Digital website, on our blog and our resources, where we actually have clients claiming that not claiming, but they have over 70% of their database are their competitors' customers, where they're collecting zero-party product affinity information. It is gold. It is like worth its weight in gold when you go to marketing. So there's a few other stats in here. Anything else to round out?
Yeah, I mean, 25% of people will share information on where, how, and why they make purchases. So allowing you to get into the sort of psychographic data around intent. I mean, clearly consumers are very, very happy to share data around motivations, preferences, and desires. What marketer doesn't want to know that?
Yep. And it's great. This isn't behavioral. This isn't something that you can just get from tracking people with cookies. This is self-reported zero-party data. So a great stat for our number 2 in our top 10 list.
Number 3 in our top 10 consumer attitudes to privacy and personal data was the question, how comfortable are consumers in trading data for services? And we saw some interesting things. 46% of US consumers are willing to provide data in exchange for goods or services.
That's a huge pile. And, this is this is an area that I think is growing. We're seeing our clients and we're seeing the data, the affinity and people's willingness to actually do this is definitely increasing. By the way, these stats you're seeing right here are only the US. We have the full 6-country global report available to you. What else do we see here? And what other attitudes, Richard, are you seeing or uses that our clients are using this kind of data?
Our customers are using this type of data to personalize all parts of their marketing. So whether that be capturing psychographic data to personalize advertising, or perhaps getting preference information to personalize offers. There's many different ways you can use this data, because this data is essentially data given to you willingly by consumers in return for more personalized products, services, or marketing.
Number 4 on our top 10 list here. I love this question. Do consumers trust social media platforms with their data? There's been a lot of privacy breaches. I mean, we can talk about Cambridge Analytica. We can talk about a lot of different things, and including Mark Zuckerberg on the cover of Wired magazine a little bit over a year ago, all beat up. Richard, this is a big one. What did we find in this report?
Well, drum roll, please. But consumers overwhelmingly say, no, they don't trust social media platforms with their data. In fact, 70% of them don't trust social media platforms with their data. And half of those folks have actually actively changed their behavior now because they just trust social media platforms so much.
But fear not. Social is very important to your marketing plans, right? You must have social. But there's some great resources on our website where clients are using social to get information out of social in an explicit declared opt-in, a direct brand relationship with consumers, getting people off of social and into their own database. And that's how you beat the walled gardens. That's how you really personalize in the right way. And there's some other stats coming up where you're going to want to know why you need that data off of social and into your own database.
Number 5 in our top 10 considerations for consumer attitudes to privacy and personal data that marketers need to know was a question around how privacy incidents have affected consumer interactions with brands. And we found out some interesting perspectives.
There really are there. I mean, privacy has been a big issue for quite a while. We've got GDPR, just celebrated a 2nd anniversary. We've got all kinds of legislation in multiple states in the U.S. But when it comes to consumers' POV, their attitudes, 43% limit the brands, the data that they actually give to brands. And 41% do not trust social media platforms. We have a whole nother report, or a whole nother stat on that one alone. What else do we see, Richard?
Well, the same amount of people, 41%, actually said that they delete cookies regularly, and 30% of them have installed an ad blocker.
It's unsustainable. If you're using third-party cookies, if you're using the same exact tools that are ubiquitously available to your competitors, you're playing on the same ball field. You're playing in a game that you're probably not going to win. That's why collecting the right data, zero-party data, is crucial, and getting it directly from those consumers so that they don't feel like their privacy is being jeopardized.
Even 24% of people actually read all the privacy policies. Geez. I mean, wow. So look, consumers really care about privacy. It's impacted the way they view consumer data and their interaction with brands. And if you want to find out how you can wear the white hat and actually collect data in a way that actually reinforces your relationship with consumers rather than damaging it, head over to CHEETAHdigital.com, download the report, come onto the blog, and see all the different ways that brands are actually collecting data in a very transparent way, in a mutually beneficial way with their consumer base.
Number 6 in our top 10 list, how do consumers feel about personalized display ads using third-party data? That's cookies. That's data that's tracking people, snooping on them. How do they feel about that? Richard, there's some really interesting results here, and I know that you love this topic. Show us what we got. I do indeed. So the good news, if you regularly use third-party tracking cookies, is that a whopping 17% of consumers feel that personalized ads are helpful to them and they actually prefer them, which basically means that virtually everybody else has a different point of view. Now, 35% of people don't mind personalized ads, but actually 39% of people don't feel comfortable with personalized ads, which is a shocking statistic. Well, It's not shocking to me because I sit on Thinking Caps with you all the time. And you've told a great story about how a medical device company snooped on you because of some third-party location data. It's a great Thinking Caps episode. You can catch that on the Cheetah Digital blog and dig in more. But some great stats here. But I think we should keep rolling with our top 10 because there's more that these brand marketers need to know. Number 7 in our top 10 list, third-party cookie tracking and relevant offers. Do people actually want those? Do they like you snooping on them, using that cookie data to actually make an offer? Richard, what did the report reveal from U.S. consumers?
Well, bearing in mind that consumers actually want offers, right? This is something of value, a discounted offer based on data that marketers have actually tracked. 35% said that it is acceptable to receive offers from third-party cookie tracking, but 42% said that it may be unacceptable, and 7% had no opinion, while 16% said this is unacceptable. So clearly we've got some very mixed attitudes in the consumer base.
Yeah, it goes back to those offers, but I think you need to look at this report in a whole. So when you get the entire report and look at all the stats together, it tells a really compelling story.
Spoiler alert, the attitudes between using third-party cooking data to receive offers and just to receive personalized ads are different.
Very different.
Okay, number 8 on the top 10 consumer attitudes to privacy and personal data that marketers need to know was looking at third-party cookie tracking and relevant content and consumer attitudes to that. And we found out a few things.
Yeah, well, 28% think that that's acceptable. So a little less than a third. And by the way, relevant content might be someone browsing different websites, using cookies to know that, suggesting that they take a trip to France or something like that without them actually interacting with you. And 40% said this may be acceptable. So I guess that comes down to the offer that you're making and the content that you're revealing. But 24% flat out, a quarter of respondents said, nope, not acceptable. So that's a pretty big chunk.
It is, and 8% had no opinion. So the vast majority, 40% of people are still making their minds up. But even said, with that, 1 out of 4 think it's unacceptable. So something the marketers need to know.
Yep. Number 9 in our top 10 list here, third-party cookie tracking and dynamic experiences. How do consumers feel about that? And this essentially means you changing the website, the content on a website, or some sort of digital interaction that's actually happening for the consumer and making that quote unquote relevant to the browsing data or the third-party cookie data that you have. And Richard, what are the findings in the US?
Well, about a third of people believe that it's acceptable, with 41% of people saying that it may be acceptable, and 19% saying it's unacceptable, with only 7% having no opinion.
Unacceptable, huh? All right, well, again, mixed reviews here on third-party data, but we all know, we've seen the stats before, if you're collecting zero-party data and using your first-party data directly from people, much stronger results. So, number 9.
And the full research that you can get from CheetahDigital.com clearly shows that consumers still want personalized experiences. It's just a question of how you get the data to personalize the experience.
The final stat that we're revealing in our top 10 stats here, which industries do consumers trust most to use their data for personalized marketing and services? And Richard, this is awesome because we have 6 different countries. We have 9 different verticals that we looked at over trust, neutral, and distrust. But what are you finding? What are the trends that you're finding in this data here from the U.S. consumers?
So interestingly, the industries that are actually trusted the most, financial services and banking, perhaps no surprise there. But restaurants and travel and hospitality, also industries that have a high level of trust in comparison to some of the other industries. Probably perhaps the most surprising for me was the fact that government agencies weren't actually the most distrusted. Almost the most distrusted. but not quite the most distrusted.
Well, and they do vary country to country. So again, getting the full report and getting an entire holistic view of the consumer's POV on all of these, as well as loyalty, messaging, et cetera, are in our full report. So that was the top 10, but you can get the full report and look at the findings for your own uses.
Any industry, any company can radically improve the trust factor with consumers on how they actually collect, process, and use consumer data with the right strategies that we detail at length around zero-party data at cheetahdigital.com.
One last question before we round this out. How should brand marketers be using this report, these stats, again, the full report, 6 countries, 4,000 respondents. How should they be using this tool to power their plans going into recovery?
Great question. So, ultimately, I think, one, this gives us a great snapshot on consumer attitudes. But I actually think when you look at the strands of what comes through from the research, it really points to the fact that marketers have a unique opportunity to really unlock direct-to-consumer relationships. We have seen through this research that consumers are very willing to give you their permissions to be part of your database and to tell you as a brand, as you as a marketer, about their motivations, their preferences and desires. And that's the majority of people want to do that. So there is a real opportunity here to actually turn the unknown consumer that you might have been marketing to with mass media into a known consumer with opt-ins, with information, psychographic data, information about motivations, etc., and desires in your database to help you actually power personalized marketing. The second side of that is that if we think about wanting to get a better relationship with consumers, to better personalize our marketing, our services, our offers, we need to unify our data around those consumers from all the different channels that they interact with us. So you might actually, connect with a consumer and ask them questions and have that information, collect an opt-in through an experience such as a instant win or something.
Sure.
But you're also collecting data on that consumer from POS systems, coming to your website,
your entire
email,
infrastructure.
Exactly, all your different channels. So being able to unify all of that data from across all the ways that you interact with a consumer, and then segment and analyze that data to discover opportunities with which you can deliver the right offer at the right time to the right consumer. Because ultimately your goal here is to actually turn that customer into a repeat buyer.
Sure.
But then ultimately, where do you go next? And I think what we've seen from the research is that loyalty is on the rise. Certainly, many more consumers, 9 times as many more consumers, want to participate in loyalty programs in 2020 than actually reduce their participation. We also know that actually consumers will be willing to give you lots of data about themselves and allow you to learn about what their desires are and their preferences are and their motivations as part of a loyalty program. So once you've actually pulled all your data assets, once you've turned an unknown consumer into a known consumer, you start to really understand all of your interactions, so you can start to market to people as individuals. You want to give them the incentive, give them that framework for them to actually come back time and time again. There is that value exchange in a loyalty program, which is designed to increase your overall customer lifecycle value. And we've seen in this data that consumers want a direct relationship. They're quite happy to go from unknown to known. They're quite happy to get personalized offers, mainly via email. This is the top channel, which is very interesting for us here at Cheetah Digital. And they want to increasingly participate in a loyalty program, which actually gets them closer to the brand. So I think we are in a unique period of history where marketers have the opportunity to really unlock direct-to-consumer relationships in a way they never have before.
Yep, it is the time. It is the time to reboot and re-strategize how you're going to communicate with your consumers. And at Cheetah Digital, we power it. That's why we're here. We hope you enjoyed this top 10. We'll have more content for you. You can always browse our website. You can always look at Thinking Caps, our podcast hosted by Richard and myself. We've brand marketers like yourself from all different verticals and tons of resources there. So we hope you enjoyed this one. Tune in next time. We're out from Cheetah Digital.
We're out.